know, when I woke up this morning, I was like kind of happy that I hooked up with Elise. And like, I liked it. I think you know how I am. Like, if I make a connection, like I'm with it. But it was something that I wanted to share with you, given that we've been so close. Like,
yeah, I appreciate the thought. But if I'm being honest with you, I think you and Elise are so alike. I think honestly, that's a better choice for you.
You think that Elise is okay? I mean, like, you didn't tell me that.
Why would I tell you who to date? You choose who you date. But I feel like Elise is more your vibe. Like, she's that kind of girl.
I mean, not really. I said from the beginning, I was like, that's not a girl you can take home to mom. Like,
I don't know, but it sounds like you were really happy about hooking up with her.
I am.
One thing I'm not about to do is show him that he has any effect on me at all. He doesn't deserve a reaction out of me.
I wish I hear more.
That looks like it's getting spicy.
The biggest challenge that you will face, men and women listening, the biggest challenge you will face is understanding when to be patient with people and when to cut people off. That is your challenge, my dears. That is the challenge. Do I remain patient with this person from what they did, or do I cut them off? That is the million-dollar question. Now, in that scene you guys just watched, this man and this woman were, I'm guessing, exploring a romantic relationship. He decided to have intercourse with another woman, right? And he decided to tell her that he had intercourse with another woman. And she looked at him and she said, okay, well, I think you guys will be great for each other. I think you guys would be a good match. PTSD. This behavior literally triggered me. When I watched that video, it was very triggering for me because it reminded me of my extended family and the psychological games that they would play. It's very nauseating because it reminded me, that clip that you guys listened to reminded me of certain people that get some type of weird kink out of your negative response. Have you guys ever encountered people that, this could be your family, your friends, your boss, your boyfriend, girlfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife? Have you ever encountered people that get this weird satisfaction from triggering you negatively? Like, it's very weird. And then you sit there and you ask yourself, what about that makes you feel good? You know, but then you got to remember that you have a good heart. You're a good person, right? You're not miserable like those people. So you're never going to relate to why they get happy off of doing things like that. You'll never understand it. There's no point in trying to understand it because you never will. There are people out there who enjoy imposing negative things on people, and they love your negative responses, not your positive responses like happiness, joy, excitement. No, some people want to see you angry. That is the emotion that they desire to see. People that you date will do that. Family, okay, toxic family members will do that. Toxic friends will do that. Toxic bosses will do that. What is that, Mel? That is the psychological game. Okay, when somebody is trying to impose power on you that you're not aware of, some people do this covertly by inserting a psychological game that you're not aware of, and they're using that psychological game to see if they can gain power over you. Okay, negging, gaslighting, all of these things are psychological power games. I want you guys to be very clear. These are psychological power games when people are doing these things to you. It's very intentional. It's not by mistake. It's very well calculated. I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. It is well calculated. When somebody is enforcing a psychological game on you, they calculated it, they thought about it, they marinated on it before they executed it, okay? And that is why I'm always encouraging men and women to have emotional intelligence. Your reaction is gasoline. Your reaction is gasoline. You don't want to be filling up the toxic person's gas tank with your emotional responses. Now, when I saw this video, right, just the way the guy was sitting and looking at her with that look that most narcissistic people give when they just said or did something that's going to tick you off, I knew that he was searching for her to beg for his love, approval, or whatever. And what I want you guys to understand is men and women engage in this. For you guys who are in corporate America, ding, 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 ding. Congratulations, you're in the war zone. Because it's all about a psychological game to see if you'll break. And how do people know that you broke? When you give them a reaction, right? When you allow them to take over your feelings through what they are doing, okay? So you guys can watch that full video in totality so that you can see what I'm talking about. Like, look at his face when he tells her that. Watch the video and look at his face and how after he tells her that he slept with the girl, pay attention to his face and how it's almost like he's getting riled up. Like, he cannot wait to see what she's going to say. And because she knows game and she's emotionally intelligent, she didn't really say anything. She was like, all right, well, maybe you guys should be together. She immediately flipped the script. Why? Because she knew, oh, I see what he's doing here. He's playing a psychological game with me. He's trying to make me upset, but I'm not going to fall for it. And she didn't fall for it. And that is what I want you ladies and gentlemen to understand is, how are you going to know if somebody is playing a psychological game with you? What do you look for? And when you clock that somebody is playing some type of psychological game with you because they want you to go through psychological hoops, how do you respond to the game that they're trying to involve you in? That's a question to ask yourself.
The biggest challenge that you will face, men and women listening, the biggest challenge you will face is understanding when to be patient with people and when to cut people off. That is your challenge, my dears. That is the challenge. Do I remain patient with this person from what they did, or do I cut them off? That is the $1 million question. Now, in that scene you guys just watched, this man and this woman were, I'm guessing, exploring a romantic relationship. He decided to have intercourse with another woman, right? And he decided to tell her that he had intercourse with another woman. And she looked at him and she said, okay, well, I think you guys will be great for each other. I think you guys would be a good match. I think you guys have a lot of similarities, and good for you guys. I hope you guys hit it off. And you can see his facial expression and his body language change. And he's saying, oh no, I don't want her. She's not the type of girl that you bring home. But he's changing his reaction when he realized that he didn't get a negative response out of her. And then now he is backpedaling and feeling like, oh, maybe she doesn't want me. Or so essentially she had to give you a negative response, cry and break down in order for you to feel like she wants you. Stay away from people who inflict harm on others to decipher their loyalty. There are some sick people out there where they have to hurt you and see how you respond to it to determine if you're on their team or not. Essentially, it's a narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopath's way of ensuring that you'll be the best supply for them. I'm going to hurt you. And if you stay with me, regardless of me hurting you, I know that you're down for me. That's sick. You don't test loyalty by harming people. You test loyalty by finding out who's down for you, whether you're at the bottom or the top. You guys have to stop letting people play psychological games with you. Humans like to play psychological games with people. They love to play these mental games with you. And if you're smart and you're on game, and I'm sure you are on game, especially if you've been on this channel for a while, you can spot when someone is trying to play a psychological game with you, which is what this man tried to do to this young lady. He told her about this intercourse thing on purpose because he wanted to see her cry. He wanted to see her break down. He wanted to see her beg. He wanted to see her get upset. But because she has emotional intelligence, she weaponized her emotional reaction and flipped the script on him and said, you know what? I actually think you guys would be perfect for each other. That's how you win the game. But a lot of people don't know this because a lot of people don't understand psychological games. I'll give you guys an example of when somebody tried to play a psychological game with me. A lot of people are playing a psychological game with you, which is why I always tell people to be as nonchalant, unbothered, detached, and like you literally have to be living in another dimension. But like to even deal with humans most of the time, you have to be in a dissociated state because it's always some type of psychological challenge that they're trying to impose to, I don't know, to get you to prove your loyalty, to get you to prove that you're down for them, to get you to prove, like, people are always doing these weird psychological, like, nobody is going to put somebody that they love or care about through psychological turmoil. That's like me picking fights with my brother on purpose to see if he's really going to stick around or not. Why do I want to pick a fight with him for no reason? Why would I do that? Why would I want to stress him out for no reason? These are miserable ass people that engage in these kind of things. I can tell how miserable somebody is based on what they engage in. There's a lot of miserable men and miserable women. They just hide it. But when you look at their character and when you look at what they do and what they engage in, I don't care if you're driving a Bentley. You can be a miserable person in a Bentley. Because I'm going to look at your actions, right? I'm going to look at your traits, your actions, how you deal with people, how you treat your family, how you treat people the closest to you, how you treat the staff. And that'll help me determine if you're a good person or not. I don't care about your car, right? I care about your character. And a lot of you guys, you need to start looking at people's character to make a solid determination on if this person's going to be a part of your life or not. Character counts. All the other stuff comes after, right? So you guys have to learn how to flip the cards on people when they're trying to get emotional reactions out of you. Don't give it to them and then let them drown. Okay, I'll give you an example of this. What is a psychological game that humans like to play? A big psychological game that humans like to play is the game of isolation. So if humans find you threatening, they'll try and isolate you. For example, for me, I'm already a loner, right? Like I really genuinely, honestly enjoy being alone. I get excited when I know I'm going to have alone time. I get excited when I get to go to the park at 7 at night and have my mini picnic by myself and sit in front of the lake and journal and have my fruit and kombucha. That is heaven for me. That is fun for me. For me, it's actually, I have to take a deep breath when I'm about to go in an environment with a lot of people because I prefer to be by myself. That's my preference. So when people try to isolate me or reject me or use that as a way to get a reaction out of me, the joke is on them because I already want to be alone. So then they realize that they're unsuccessful because they thought that I wanted to belong to the group, that I wanted acceptance. And when they see this girl doesn't even really like people like that, they're like, whoa, well, how else are we going to get her? Because her preference is being alone. So we thought that we were going to do this mass plan to get her out of the group. But in reality, we actually gave her what she wanted because she didn't want to be in the group anyways. So it's almost like you have to understand the psychological games that humans play to see how they can essentially assume power over you. So what he did was, if she gave him her emotional reaction, he was going to be in the position of power while she was going to be in the position of enslavement. But by her flipping the script and saying, it's all right. Well, I think you guys will be a good match. Because she knew what she was doing. She has emotional intelligence. She knew what he was doing. She said, I think you guys will be a wonderful match. You can see the disdain and the disappointment in his face because she took the power back herself by not allowing herself to be triggered by you. That's why a lot of times you guys will say, Mel, how do you stay on live and when people insult you, you respond with a straight face, like unshakable? Because that's what they want. They want you to shake. They want you to give them an emotional engagement so they can use that to assume power over you. The person that is always responding to people is the one that will become enslaved to the psychological games that other people play. It's psychological. It's a psychological game. There was a time I had this woman that was trying to play a psychological game with me, business-wise, right? She kept telling me, oh, I have this person available. I have this person available. I have this lead. I have that lead. And every time, the glue would start sticking together for me to get the lead, she would start pulling random rabbits out of a hat. Like, oh, this won't work because of this. This lead won't work because of that. And when I noticed that she kept doing it, I noticed that she was playing a psychological game with me because she knew that I was new to the business and I was looking to start building it. So I had a strong need for clients for that industry. And she weaponized that against me for whatever, I don't know, people play these games for so many reasons. And I said, you know what, I'll flip the script on her. So every time she would do that, I would say, you know what, actually, I would prefer if you would hold off on sending me clients or leads. And she's like, why? I said, because I'm flooded in business. So I can't even handle much, like God opened the door. And, I have so many clients for this business. So hold off on sending me leads for a couple of months. Hold off on it. And then when I feel like things slow down because the business is booming right now, I'll give you a call. And you can hear the quietness in her tone because I took the power back from her. I switched the positions of power. Now she felt like I didn't need her. And when she felt like I didn't need her, that is actually when she started sending me solidified clients because she was playing a psychological game with me. And that's how a lot of people are. That's why I always say, you guys have to be careful with the people you connect yourselves to because a lot of humans are not, I hate to say it, but a lot of humans are not good people. So if they know that you need them or they know that you're desperate to have something from them, they're going to use that to their advantage to play this weird power game with you. If they know that you don't have anyone else or you don't have family or friends or people that you talk to, they will weaponize that and use that as a tool to have power and domination over you. It's all a psychological game. So I remember when I was a little girl, my grandma told me something that was so interesting. My grandma told me, Mel, even if you're in a season of desperation, never show anybody that you're desperate. Meaning never show anybody that you're desperate for a job. Never show anybody that you're desperate for their help with something. Never show anybody that you're desperate for a relationship. Because the minute you show desperation and the minute that you show that you need them to move in order for you to be stabilized, most people will start to play a psychological game with you when they realize that they are the one in position of power over you. So you never want to fall into that psychological game trap. So even if you're desperate for something, nobody should ever know that. Pray behind the scenes, pray behind closed doors, and ask God to give you favor and make room for you and soften the heart of humans to give you the opportunity you need, but never show them you're desperate for anything, because if you do, they're going to weaponize that. Not all people, but if they're not good people, they will use that as a leverage, right? So again, you guys have to learn how to weaponize your reactions. You have to learn to decipher when somebody is trying to get an emotional response out of you. This is very popular in toxic families. For example, my family, the people in my family who are probably still stalking and listening to this video right now, this message is for you, so grab your popcorn. The people in my family, they like to play these type of psychological games. They love to call you early in the morning about nonsense. They like to bring up negative things that other people in the family are saying to you about you. They like to play this weird imaginary competition with you. And the way that I combated those psychological games is my whole family is on my block list. I don't have a family member outside of my parents and brother that's not on my block list. They're all on there. And if they reach out from a new number, I block that number too. So my response to their psychological games is banishment. When you realize that somebody gets off and gets hyped up and excited by seeing you in a state of anger, sadness, depression, disappointment, or disdain, that is a person that is sadistic. Okay, bosses do this, right? There are a lot of bosses in corporate America that do things to you, and it's like they sit there and they look at you after they say it so they can see you cry, so they can see you break down. It's a power game. Many humans play psychological games with other humans. Men do it, women do it too. I think men do psychological games more in relationships. Women do psychological games more platonically, right? So if a woman gets into a relationship with a man, if he's not ascended, she's chopped, right? Because a lot of men like to play psychological games with women romantically. Women like to play psychological games with people platonically, meaning, you know, when women are in the real world, around their coworkers, around their girlfriends, around other women in their family, they do these sadistic things. But then when they get in a relationship with a man, they're very, you know, they come offering their heart on a platter, like a gift. But men usually like to play psychological games romantically. So you're going to get chopped, right? I always tell women it's very different when you're interacting with men because they get off on that. Not all, but men who are not healed, they get off on seeing women trip out over them, right? So women play psychological games platonically with people. Men play psychological games usually romantically. I don't really deal with men playing psychological games platonically, at least not with me. They're usually very serious and to the point. But with women, there's a lot of games that they like to play with other women when it's a platonic situation. They like to play these push and pull, these weird games, but then they meet their match when they get in relationships with men, because now the man is going to be the one pulling the rug under the woman's feet and blindsiding her. I see the trend in relationships where women are getting blindsided, distraught, getting very shocked. Like, you know, a woman will go to bed one day and wake up and her husband filed for divorce and he didn't even tell her that he wasn't happy. Like, it's a lot of psychological gymnastics that women will go through romantically if it's not a guy who's healed. And women will deal with other women playing psychological games with them on a platonic level, right? So what I'm saying is, you have to be able to decipher why somebody's doing what they're doing. A lot of times it's not concern. I always talk about women and fake concern, how women fake their concern to gain entry or closeness to another woman, or they use it as a bullying tactic. So let's say you're a woman and you're getting ready to go to nursing school, right? Like, you have a lot of kids, you have a lot of responsibilities, but you're like, you know what? I can do this, right? I can go to nursing school. I can put my best foot forward. I can conquer. God is with me. I can do it. And then you have a friend that is telling you, oh, well, why do you want to go to nursing school? You have so many kids, though. What are the kids going to do? Your kids are in elementary school. They need you more now than ever. And they start the whole fake concern thing, but it's really a psychological game because mentally she's competing with you and she doesn't want you to have a degree, right? So again, you have to be able to put two and two together or you're going to get chopped, right? I'm always telling you guys, a lot of people desire your emotional reaction. That's why when you realize that somebody is doing something to get reactions out of you, you banish them. So now it's almost like they're going to drop to their knees because they're going to be like, wow, she didn't even engage in the game. She just banished me. Like, she didn't even go back and forth. She didn't even talk it out with me. I'm just banished. That is the way that you deal with people who play psychological games. I had a boss. She's probably listening to this right now because a lot of women, when they see another woman's potential, they want to break you down so that you don't see your value. And then if you do end up seeing your value, they become a lifelong stalker, right? So she's probably listening to this right now. I had a woman that was my boss that was playing a psychological game with me. I noticed that she was having me do things that other colleagues were not required to do. And she was making my job harder than it needed to be. And once I put 2 and 2 together, I just got up one day, I went to HR, I said, here's the equipment. They're like, where are you going? I said, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. They're like, oh, you're not going to give us 2 weeks? I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, oh, well, you're not going to get your vacation time. I said, I don't care. They're like, you're not going to get your PTO left over. I said, don't care about that either. I'm out of here. And I grabbed my check and I left. The minute I found out that my boss was starting to play a psychological game, the minute I put 2 and 2 together, I quit like off rip. I didn't even engage in the game. I immediately banished her. The minute somebody is trying to play a psychological game with you and you realize that that is the game that they're initiating, sometimes you're not going to see it off of the first action. Sometimes you're going to have to gather data over time to be like, oh, this person's playing a game. For me, when I see the first action, I'm like, that's weird. But then when I see the second or the third and I realize that there's a game being played, I banish the person, meaning I don't engage in the game. You don't have access to me anymore. Because when you engage with the game, you are giving the person your energy, right? And when you give them your energy, you're essentially giving them the fuel that they desire. Okay, it's a psychological game. I'll give you guys another example of a psychological game. I'm going to think of many of them. I've dealt with this so many times in my past life with people. I told you guys about that client that was playing a psychological game with me, where every time I would send the postcards to his house, he would tell me they didn't get there. And then on purpose, I put trackers on each postcard, and then I sent the same postcard to his neighbor. And when I called his neighbor got the postcard, and the barcodes I put on the postcards were scanned. And when I called them, he said that he didn't receive it. And then I sent him an email of the confirmation and the picture that they took of the box of postcards in front of his doorstep. And I verbally shredded him and then blocked him. That's how I get down. Once I notice that somebody's trying to play a psychological game, I'm going to do my due diligence and research on what the person is doing. And once I gather that you're trying to put me in an emotional and mental gymnastics, and that's abuse, by the way, that is the definition of psychological abuse. Negging, humbling, gaslighting, these are all abusive traits. That's why I don't want you guys to give these kind of people passes. They are choosing to psychologically abuse you. When somebody purposefully does something to you that is hurtful, and they bring it up to you to get a negative response out of you, and you don't give it to them and they feel bad, they are emotionally abusive. That is a form of abuse. I think that we need to stop giving people passes, and we need to hold people accountable to their behaviors. Meaning, when you spot that somebody is playing a psychological game with you, you banish them. And they'll try to come back because they didn't think that you were going to catch on. They will always try to circle back. No, I caught on. I caught on. I built a bridge. I got over it. I understood the game you were playing. And as a result of that, I can't allow you to have access to me anymore. And that's really what it is. But the problem is, are you able to spot when somebody is playing a psychological game with you? Can you tell that a psychological game is being played? A lot of you guys can't tell. A lot of you guys can't tell when somebody's playing a psychological game with you. For example, you plan a date, a guy plans a date with you. He doesn't tell you or give you options on where he wants to take you. Now he's putting you in a masculine role, right? Because he wants you to decide. He doesn't, and then you get to the date, and the moment you're on your way to the date, he's trying to switch locations now. So you guys agreed to meet up at the gastropub bar, whatever. And then on your way there, he's like, oh, wait, can we meet up at Piccadilly's, right? He's already switching. You get to Piccadilly's, you're sitting there for 30 minutes. He still doesn't get there yet. He gets there late. And then when he gets there late, he's giving you a bunch of excuses or unloading about his ex. That is somebody who's playing a psychological game with you. So the minute you guys agreed to meet at the gastropub bar and he messaged you to change the location, that should have resulted in a block, you grabbing your best drink, having a good time, hopping in your car, and then going home. Psychological games require engagement. Humans who do psychological games with people are miserable people. They are unhappy. So they only get happiness by seeing you, upset or worried. Another psychological game somebody will do is, let's say you ordered something and they received the package and they keep telling you that they didn't get it, and they hide the package in their closet. And after they hide the package in their closet, they're watching you go around the house looking for it, making calls, calling the post office. They're playing a psychological game with you, and they have the box the whole time. I have some people in my business on this platform that try to play psychological games with me, where you'll purchase from me, open it, send me an email telling me you didn't get it, and you lied. Because on my end, I see it was opened. When somebody orders a guide from me, I get an immediate notification when the PDF was downloaded and opened, by the way. So when you send me an email and you're saying you never got it and you never opened it, and then I send you a screen picture saying you opened it and the IP and address location where it was open, then you stop responding to the email. Now you have nothing to respond back to me because you thought I was going to play a psychological game with you. Right? There are some people that like to see you in positions of stress, right? Some people like to see you stress. They like to see you worrisome. They like to see you crying. They just want negative responses out of other human beings. And if you pay attention and you're able to put two and two together, you will not fall into that.